this one is from the perspective of the husband.
Okay.
Am I the asshole for putting my foot down and saying my mother-in-law can't move in with us? My 31 male wife, 33 female, is an only child and extremely close with her parents. We live on opposite sides of the country from her parents, but they talk up to 4 times per day. And as far as I'm concerned, my wife acts as their remote personal assistant, shopper, accountant, tech support specialist. I've been really upfront with my wife to say I'm a bit jealous of the attention they get, as anything between my wife and I is subject to being derailed if her phone rings. My wife is sympathetic, but says she's not going to pick favorites between me and her parents. When they do visit, particularly at Christmas, they and my wife insist on them staying with us for a week in our 1-bedroom condo.
Ooh, that's tight.
We've done this for the last 8 years, which has actually turned into a bit of a miserable time of the year for me as a result. I love my wife, so I deal with it. It's not a secret I'm not a fan of the arrangement, but I'm not interested in ruining Christmas, so I'm a good sport about it. Anyways, my father-in-law is suffering from Alzheimer's, and I have suspected that he has been for as long as I've known him, 8 years. My mother-in-law has been in complete denial about this up until very recently, where they have just started with the process of having him placed in a care home as his condition is quite severe. Meanwhile, the pandemic has affected my wife and I to a point it makes sense to move into a bigger place out of the city. My wife has expressed her interest that once her dad is placed, she would like her mom to come move in with us. And so our home should have an in-law suite or other suitable accommodations. My mother-in-law can't afford to move on her own. They made some bad financial decisions that aren't able to move to a higher cost of living area. After years of being patient and respectful about this, I've finally put my foot down, and I've cited the following reasons. 1, my mother-in-law will be contributing nothing financially to this arrangement, but selecting a home with accommodations for her is both limiting our housing options. My wife and I will both have to sacrifice things we want in a home. I'm extremely insecure that there will be no boundaries in this arrangement, even if they are established ahead of time. And 3, I simply cannot think of a time where I shared a roof with her and felt any level of comfort, satisfaction, or enjoyment about the situation. I just can't. And the idea of committing to a long-term arrangement like that makes me completely queasy. Naturally, this hasn't gone over well. Am I the asshole?
Well, negative Nancy.
No, not
He's
the
just
asshole.
like he's kind of negative about I mean, I understand it's probably not pleasant, but he's like, I can't think of a single moment where I've enjoyed a single ounce of this company. But I don't think he's the asshole because I think he's setting boundaries and he has a right to live his life. And he's creating a life with his wife. When you marry somebody, like, yes, their family comes with them, but you're not marrying their mother. You're not marrying their father. You're not marrying their brother. You're marrying that individual. And family means different things to different people. You know, your level of attachment, your level of involvement with your family is totally unique to the individual. But if this person is putting their foot down and saying, I'm not comfortable with this, I didn't sign on to this. It's not like he married her and all of these things were in place and he's trying to undo that. That's not me peeing. That's Morgan topping off my margarita. Clearly she thinks I need more for this story.
It does sound like peeing.
It does. That's why I was like, let's clarify really quick.
Yeah, I just had to top that off. Okay, sorry.
No, good call. I didn't even know that you had that. That's really sneaky. Instead of bringing like a flask to a party, Morgan just brought the handle to the podcasting station to make sure that we are well taken care of. But do you know, does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think it's...
And
he didn't sign up for any of this, and I feel like such an asshole saying that, especially because Alzheimer's like hits really home for me right now. But it's at the end of the day, you gotta like set your standards.
Completely agree. And I think a lot of people, I'll start with 1. To me, this sounds like enmeshment. Mm-hmm. It is not normal to call your parents 4 times a day. Mm-mm. That's not normal. That's like, you have to live your own life at some point.
Yeah.
And for her to drop everything, even if it's them doing something, for her to drop everything to always choose her parents, she says, oh, I don't want to pick favorites. But you're choosing your parents constantly over your partner.
Yeah.
Which, that is a big reason people get divorced.
Yep.
When you get married, you are choosing your partner.
Yeah.
That is where your loyalty lies. And so with an enmeshment, an enmeshed family, they expect your loyalty to be undying to them.
Yeah.
And so it sounds to me like there's just an unhealthy parent-child relationship going on with his wife. And I think, and this is not the case for every only child, but I think this often happens with only children.
Yep. Damn. Yeah.
Because the parent-child relationship is automatically so different. There's not another kid to share burden with or, parents' attention. It's solely focused on that one child. That one child is their life.
Yeah.
There's only one child. And an only child has different expectations than, kids with siblings.
Yeah.
Only children oftentimes grow up a lot faster too. They don't have, peers, siblings.
Yeah.
They have their parents they interact with the most. Mm-hmm. They grow up a lot quicker. So,
yeah.
And are therefore more, oftentimes more attached. And so to me, this sounds like enmeshment, where the wife is like kind of throwing her partner's needs away, like, and picking her, her parents over her partner. And I don't think support your mom. Mm-hmm. Like support your mom and make sure your dad is taken care of. Mm-hmm. Terrible diagnosis. Like he definitely needs to be taken care of properly and your mom should be supported. But that doesn't mean she needs to move in with you.
Yeah. I think if it's temporary, it's a lot easier to stomach.
It's one thing if they're visiting.
But exactly. And to kind of snowball off the enmeshment, like I recently talked about that with a friend, and I think that this friend has enmeshment with their parent for like a number of reasons, but this person's also an only child. And one thing that we kind of realized was we think the enmeshment kind of stems from like a little bit of trauma bonding, and like they're often conflated, but they're different things. But the trauma bonding can lead to enmeshment.
100%.
And so here,
oftentimes.
I'm wondering if like the Alzheimer's, that's very traumatic. He's been battling it for 8 years. I'm wondering if there's a little bit of enmeshment because there's a little bit of trauma bonding. Like, I don't know. It's hard to say, but I wonder if she would jump so quickly for her mom's calls if the father didn't have Alzheimer's.
I'm sure it's gotten worse.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying it didn't exist before that. I'm saying I think it might like amplify it and exaggerate
1,000%
And it's hard to blame because I think if one of my parents had something like that, like a terrible disease.
You jump through hoops to make sure they're good. You jump through hoops.
But I agree, like you still made a commitment to your partner and you have to honor that, and you can't just throw that completely down the shitter to tend to these things, because at the end of the day, like, I don't know, this is where it gets really hard because my mom talks a lot about cultural differences between like white people and like Latina families.
Asian communities,
Latino families.
Their elders live with them.
Yes.
It's typically
it's very
the
typical.
son's responsibility. And, as a daughter-in-law, you would move in with your husband's family.
Yeah.
Like, and take care of his parents.
Well, yeah, like my Peruvian family is the same way. And so like for me, my mom always tells me how like and there's nothing wrong with this. It's just the opinion of a Peruvian mother. She's like shocked that people in America put their family members in homes. It's shocking to her. She can't stomach that. And if I ever did that to her, she'd never talk to me again. Like the expectation is that they raise you, and then when they need the care at an elderly age, they come back to live with you.
Yeah.
And so I think this is, we don't know the race or the culture here. Mm-hmm. That's kind of makes it tough too. Not to say it makes it any better or worse.
There is an edit.
Oh, okay.
But I completely agree.
You know what I mean?
I think different cultures have different expectations with how they care for their elders, their family. Yes. I think that's a great point, because me as a white individual, you oftentimes forget something like this that is a big factor in how we handle our problems and deal with situations. So thank you for bringing in your Peruvian
Well, my mom and I just had this conversation not that long ago. I forget what she said, but she made a joke. And she was just like, I do this because I don't want you to put me in a home. Like, she's just like, I'm trying to buy the brownie points now. And so
solid point. There.
Right. She's like playing the long game. Yeah. But that's why it came to mind. I was like, actually, I fear that my mom might be upset if I don't let her live with me when she's older. So I don't know.
Mine just told me that she never wants to be put in a nursing home.
Yeah, so I don't think anybody does. No. So I don't know.
I know.
Let's hear this edit.
So edit, he goes, okay, wow, I'm a little speechless, but I can address a few things. My father-in-law won't be dumped and abandoned on the other side of the country. His situation has gotten so severe that it's urgent he be placed. Yeah. But yes, they would transfer him to near wherever we ended up.
Good.
Some have suggested that we look into senior housing near where we end up for my mother-in-law to live in. I have advocated for this, but I am not getting any traction here. I guess I never addressed this until now because I thought that would be a perfectly reasonable compromise. Turns out it is not. We are both white.
Oh.
I'm completely aware that these situations are typical in other cultures. That doesn't really make me feel any better, but I've thought about it from this lens. I'm not an only child. Both my parents are alive and we have a good relationship. They also live in another part of the country. I haven't seen them in 8 years at Christmas time because it's so important to my wife and her family. Try not to come across as a martyr here, but I legitimately care that my wife is happy, even if I don't completely understand it. Which also makes me really, really, really believe that this is enmeshment because of the fact that she refuses to not spend Christmas with her family.
Yeah.
8 years
of
only being with one side.
I've already gotten in a fight with Brett about this.
This is so unfair.
Yes. I was
so unfair.
I made a comment and he was like, I can't come to Minnesota during Christmas. I can't be away from my family. I was like,
switch off.
You can though. You can.
You're choosing not to.
Yeah, like you can. What do you think families do?
Yeah.
They switch off.
Yeah.
I don't know. Mind blowing.
It's really, really complicated. And I think we both come from very like diverse homes where both of our parents are not together. Like if me and Justin's parents aren't together either, my boyfriend. So it's like if you look at how many Christmases we have to go to.
Double whammy.
We are literally like the fucking Reese Witherspoon movie.
Yep.
It's 4 Christmases.
Oh yeah, 4. Wait, wasn't it like 8 Christmases? Was it 4?
It's 4 Christmases.
Yeah.
So me and Justin both have 4 Christmases. I technically have 5 because like my family's just fucking batshit crazy and like really splits things up now.
Okay.
But he has his mom's Christmas, but then his grandma does something at her house, and then he has his dad's Christmas, and then I have my mom. Like there's so many things we have to juggle. So we have talked about how do we, navigate this going forward. And it's just really, it's switching off. It's accommodating. So all families feel fair and included.
Right. I completely agree with that.
8 years
yes.
of not seeing your family at Christmas time?
I would be livid because no.
That makes me really think there's something off here.
That's interesting. I personally don't, unless he voluntarily is like, no, screw my family. I don't want to see them on Christmas. Sure, whatever. But it doesn't sound like that's the case. He's like, I'm compromising here to make her happy.
Exactly.
How could you feel good about that? Like even if my significant other was like, I'm willing to compromise 8 Christmases to be with your family, I'd be like, that makes me sad. You should be with your family. That's so unfair.
That would be a deal breaker for me.
Yeah.
It really would. Someone who doesn't give a shit about my feelings or like wanting to spend Christmas with my family, like a major holiday.
Yeah. Because I think the shitty part too, and like I know Brett means well, and we've talked about this too, but when he says I won't spend like a Christmas away from my family, what I hear is that my family doesn't matter enough. Like, and maybe that's me taking it the wrong way, but he's not saying like, he's saying like, because he's expecting me to go to his or something. So,
or for you guys to both be separate.
Exactly.
Which that's not how it works.
Exactly.
How does that work? Just say like if you did have kids.
Yes, I've already thought about this. What do they do now? They have to pick and they feel like they have divorced parents when they don't?
No, you switch off.
Yeah.
We spend actual Christmas with your family one year and then we go to mine the day after.
Well,
and we flip.
We don't have that luxury because we are a 3.5 hour plane ride away.
Yeah.
So,
but you've coordinated the best you can.
You could coordinate it or do like New Year's with one family or like a little bit before Christmas with one and the actual holiday every other. You know what I mean? There's ways to do it. But yeah, I mean, back to the story, our point is like 8 Christmases away from your family that you would like to see is unacceptable. And it's a lack of compromise. And what we're seeing the trend here is that she's not willing to compromise.
No. And we do have a very diverse listenership, and that's any holiday, like Hanukkah, Ramadan, Kwanzaa.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter.
Like anything to be away from to be away from your family 8 years in a row on an important time in your life.
Yeah.
Like, no. And I honestly, I'll bring it back to it. I think it's totally fair. Like, I think you can live close to your mother-in-law and support her, but you need your fucking space.
Agreed. That's going to drive your marriage apart.
How the fuck are you going to have sex? Comfortably, loudly, enjoyably.
Yeah.
Too close for comfort for me.
I hope he figures it out. I hope that they find a really happy medium where like she lives at a very nearby senior living facility or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
And they have like family dinners once a week, and they have a very healthy, like, she's still a part of the family, because I do feel for this woman. Her husband is going through a really terrible time, and Alzheimer's, if he needs care, it's declining.
Urgent care.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's declining pretty quickly. So she is going to be a widow in the somewhat near term. And I mean, I know that sounds pessimistic, but just seeing the way that this goes,
that's the process of the disease.
That's how that works.
Cruel and unfortunate as it is.
Yeah. So she's going to be on her own. So
she does need the support.
She does need the support, but she doesn't need to be in their marriage to get that support.
No. Top comment. They quote what he says. My wife is sympathetic, but says she's not going to pick favorites between me and her parents. And they go, if she always attends her parents' needs, even at the expense of disregarding yours, she is picking favorites.
Yeah. 1,000%.
And someone replies to that and goes, your spouse is meant to be your favorite. That's the whole point of marrying them.
Yeah. That's so tough. Ugh.
And back to the point that your partner and who you choose to be with, it's a choice. And when you make that choice, you should be putting them before your origin family.
Yeah.
Your birth family. Your adopted family. Your family that fucking raised you. Like, whatever that looks like to you.
Yeah.